Welcome to Christian Statesman. I'm your host, Zach Wagner, and this is episode 114, Waiting for the Big Boom. If you've been keeping tabs on independent media threads, there are a lot of tensions, or as Mike Adams puts it, a lot of possible collisions just ahead. We have spoken frequently about the unsustainable nature of our current situation here in the good old U.S. of A. We have a fake presidency, we have nearly every bureaucratic head, most political leaders, and many of the heads of corporations bought and paid for, all unanimously shilling for the globalist agenda. Population reduction, economic reset, a code for collapsing the currencies of the West and replacing them with a digital global system. We have well-funded and equipped totalitarian powers moving on the global stage, seeking to overthrow American hegemony in the name of global realignment. Tensions are high, and sooner or later, something has to give. We are anxiously awaiting the big boom. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Trump and the Patriots are supposedly working to try and correct the situation before the Black Hats can fully execute their agenda, and there is no turning back for America or the rest of the world. Tensions are high. The events unfolding have no precedent and thus no way of accurately predicting how they will inevitably unfold. About the only thing we can be sure of is that what is now somewhat unsettled is certain to become much more unsettled before anything eventually works its way out. For those who love liberty, it is a race against time before liberty is eroded and can only be restored by blood and treasure or something even bigger and more divine. Many in the Christian community believe these to be the onset of end-time scenarios. The argument is that we are entering into the events foreseen by John the Revelator, particularly as recorded in chapters 12, 18, and 19 of the book of Revelation. And the argument is a fair one. The template of revelation given by John, when overlaid with our current times, lines up to a significant degree. Will things play out just as predicted? If you accept the Bible as the infallible Word of God, the answer must be unequivocally yes. It behooves us to gain understanding of the texture of these apocalyptic events. So how does one cope with these perceived tensions? One unfortunate and very universal method is to ignore the warning sirens all around and continue on in blissful ignorance, working, earning, consuming, and remaining self-confident in the delusional attitude that our problems will soon be behind us and everything will get back to normal. This is the epitome of the Lord's warning in Luke, speaking against those who would take ease unto their soul and eat, drink, and be merry, regardless of their circumstance. This common disease of cognitive dissonance is far too widespread and will result in unprepared and emotionally and spiritually weak individuals who may easily fall victim to the schemes of more determined and organized evil men. On the other side of the spectrum, we have those who realize that our problems are exceeding man's ability to remedy with any specific temporal intervention, recognizing that this is, in fact, a spiritual war, manifest through the worldly actions of wickedly motivated individuals. In this mindset, all we can do is prepare to defend our faith, our families, and our communities when called upon to do so. We realize that the larger-scale interventions will need to be divinely led, as the forces of men alone will be insufficient to stem the surging tide of evil. And such an attitude is fair. It brings to mind an old maxim: pray as if everything depends on God, then go to work as if everything depends upon you. This balance of temporal preparation and action needed to sequester ourselves from the evil influences around us, mixed with a constant and vigilant reliance through faith and prayer on the Lord to do His part, is probably the best and maybe only way to weather the big boom that will soon impact us. I've been in contact with several visionary Christians, faithful each to the cause of Christ, who have been given personal warning to prepare themselves and their families. The consensus is fairly universal that the tensions we perceive are real, and that we are not heading towards a resurgence of normalization of times past. We are, in their estimation, in the eye of the storm, with a vicious backside of the hurricane of world events, gaining strength and momentum. It could get ugly when we are again engulfed by the storm of contention that is surely in the offing. Who will win this race to resolution will be stuff of epic history. It is the consummate confrontation between good and evil. The world is in a war for its own survival, at least if the concepts of liberty and freedom of worship are critical to your way of life. Where and how this war spills to the surface of everyday events remains to be seen. When it does, it will not enter lightly. It will burst onto the world stage and into the homes and lives of each of us with a deafening and earth-shaking boom. We should make ready and get to spiritual high ground that we may endure the tsunami that will soon be upon us. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe, and as always, have a blessed day.